right, Fantasy Bros. Fantasy Bros Strong. What's up? We're back. It's the Fantasy Football Astrology channel. If you don't know, now you do. And we're going to get into everybody's favorite subject. We got buy low candidates and sell high candidates. So I hope you guys stay with me on the explanation on some of these players. I did my absolute best on the sell highs. I really only want to sell high if I'm truly nervous about a player in their situation. Okay? You can see down here at the bottom of my board, I left out a Debo Samuel. Okay, a lot of people this week are selling high on Debo Samuel, but I would advise against it. Okay, I'm not nervous about Debo Samuel. If you go back to Debo Samuel's last year, if you take out the games where Debo Samuel was got injured, or the games he was coming back from injury, you take out those games, he was an extremely high points per game receiver. I think he was in like the top 6 points per game receiver. So I'm not advising you to sell Debo. Keep him if you can. The trend I think we're noticing emerge in San Francisco is that they like to gently, if their guy's coming back from injury, they like to gently kind of give them a light workload, okay? So that's something that we're seeing here. I'm going to go over this list here. We're going to start with the buy lows. Everybody loves the buy candidates. Who can we get? Guys, I included 6 guys on this list. If you notice something about my list, these are all high-profile guys, okay? These are the players that we want to acquire. Everybody on this list, except for Tony Pollard, is a very high-profile player, and so we want to get the league winners on our team, okay? These 3 guys up here, Derrick Henry especially in non-PPR, these 3 players, we all know them. Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, Antonio Gibson, okay? Now, if you can find an Aaron Jones owner and you can give him a Saquon Barkley, right, then you might be able to get an Aaron Jones. You might be able to salvage your season right now, because Saquon Barkley is looking like the absolute train wreck that I thought he was going to be. I was trying to warn you guys, don't get in on Saquon. That New York Giants offensive line is pretty bad, okay? And I don't think the Giants, the Denver defense is probably a team you want to run against, okay? So big red flags coming in from Saquon. The beautiful thing about this time of year, guys, everyone's still trading based off of where they drafted guys a lot of the times. So you won't be able to get an Aaron Jones unless you give up a Saquon Barkley or an Ezekiel Elliott, maybe throw in a little extra receiver. Okay, so this is what I'm encouraging. Shoot for the stars, guys. This is what we want. This is how we're going to win our leagues. Derrick Henry, you know the story of what's going on in Tennessee. Guys, Tennessee looked disappointing. Tannehill wasn't practicing. He was out with COVID. Julio wasn't practicing. They've got a new coach over there. And then you get Mike Vrabel talking trash to his new acquisition in Julio Jones. It looks pretty ugly over there. But still, I expect Derrick Henry to bounce back quicker than I expect Julio to bounce back. I was having a challenging time assessing Julio Jones. I could have put him on the buy low, and I think maybe by about week 4 or 5, he'll really start syncing up. But I could put him on the sell high list too. It really can go either way with Julio, so I left him off the list. Same with Deebo there. You can't really buy Deebo low, but I would not sell Deebo high. He's an excellent athlete, okay? And they love to give him the ball in a multitude of ways on a very prolific offense, okay? So moving on here to Antonio Gibson. Once again, the the Washington football team's coaching staff is the same one that was in Carolina when Christian McCaffrey went off. Guess what? Antonio Gibson is getting the similar type of usage, okay? He had 20 carries. He had a fumble. He didn't score a touchdown, so his stat line was pretty low against a pretty good Chargers defense. You might be able to get him this week act fast. You might have to give up a Miles Sanders or a Saquon to go get that, but you might save your season in doing so. I am a little worried about injury with Gibson, but one of those things that we sometimes just have to take the risk. Speaking of injury, Brandon Ayuk, I've already spoke to him. He didn't get, he put up a goose egg on Sunday. I think this is a pattern of just Kyle Shanahan. He eases guys back in from injury, especially if, they have a hamstring injury. It's one of these gradually healing processes. So, but you want it to be fully healed. So if somebody can go part way, don't re-injure and re-aggravate that injury. It makes a lot of sense that he put up 0 points. I'm not at all concerned with Brandon Ayuk bouncing back later in this season. I'm saying patience with Ayuk. I even had a league where a guy dropped Brandon Ayuk. I mean, that's how low people are on Ayuk. And I know that to me, that's absolutely crazy. I don't know what that guy was thinking, but some people aren't very good fantasy players. So it is what it is. Okay, moving into number 5. We've got Tony Pollard, and I'm sure most of you probably saw the Thursday night game. One of the big takeaways, I went to bed thinking, what was going on in that game? How is Jerry Jones going to react to everything that happened in that game? And to me, guys, it was really clear. Tony Pollard was the more electric guy over Ezekiel Elliott. Is why I have Ezekiel Elliott on the sell high list, is because Tony Pollard could end up taking over. Now, you have to decide as a fantasy owner if you have the patience, if you have the room on your roster for a few weeks to see if that scenario may end up playing out. But, they've got a lot of money in Zeke. And one of the things to consider as well is Ezekiel Elliott has a pretty tough playoff schedule. Okay, so another reason Ezekiel Elliott's on my sell high, tough playoff schedule. He doesn't look as good as Tony Pollard, and he looks kind of slow. He wasn't making a lot of moves. Now, I know he was playing Tampa Bay, which is the best run defense in the NFL. Of course, he's going to struggle that week, but he's still a sell high to me because people know that, right? People drafted him in the first round for a reason. You can probably swing Ezekiel Elliott for a Derrick Henry. You sweeten the pot a little bit with a wide receiver or whatever it takes. But I'm moving off Zeke. I'm moving off Saquon. And, okay, so that's what we're doing, okay? Tony Pollard, you could probably get Tony Pollard for like a Mike Williams, for example. A Chargers receiver, he goes up and down. His astrology speaks to that too with Mike Williams. He's an air sign. His quarterback's a water sign. So water doesn't want to move towards air. They're going to be a more volatile. 1 week he's going to do nothing, and another week he's going to go off. Okay, so you could sell Mike Williams. I don't have him on this board for like a Tony Pollard. Okay, if you need help at the running back position especially, and Tony Pollard may begin emerging this year. He's the right age for it. And so I like the potential of Tony Pollard to emerge. Okay, now number 6, we got Calvin Ridley. If you're like me, you were probably expecting the Atlanta to come out scoring a lot of points against a pretty weak Philadelphia defense. But Darius Slay is putting it together, and they had a pretty good defensive showing shutting down Ridley. I expect that to change. That's a pretty easy one, guys. Shoot for these high-profile players. And these are fantasy winning type players. There are so many buy low candidates. You could shoot for a Justin Jefferson and Najee Harris. Justin Herbert is a really good quarterback target for buying low. Okay, moving into the sell high list. This list is a lot shorter. There's only a few players I really have cause for concern with, and this is my list here of players that performed really well week 1. But I don't, or at least have a high draft stock still from the draft. So people's perception is still highly affected by where they drafted their player. They want big returns on these guys. And other people still believe in a lot of these players. So that's what it is. Ezekiel Elliott, we know the story on him. I've already told you, pretty poor pretty tough playoff schedule. He's got a guy under him nipping at his heels, and they're a pass-first offense at this point, okay? Saquon Barkley, I warned you guys, they got a bad offensive line, and, you know, it doesn't matter how excellent the talent is if your offensive line is not going to be able to open those lanes for you. So there's a big story going on that they're being cautious and they're waiting for him. I believe he had like 10 carries. They weren't that cautious with him. So Saquon Barkley, absolutely sell, okay? Miles Sanders is a little bit more questionable. I think Miles Sanders will be still really productive, but I'm telling you guys, if you saw that game, Kenneth Gainwell looked like they were giving him goal line touches, and he looked like the more aggressive, more decisive runner, the more physical runner than Miles Sanders. He was very adverse to contact. It was a little alarming to see how shy to contact Miles Sanders was, okay? So you can sell him now. I really like what I see in Philadelphia. You could even sell a Jalen Hurts high because he played the absolute worst defense. Everyone's, oh, Jalen Hurts is so great. He played the 32nd rated passing defense. Okay, so I still like Jalen Hurts, but if you wanted to swing him for a Justin Herbert, I'm not going to fault you for that move. Okay, Brandon Cooks, big week. Texans, we got 2 Texans here. Brandon Cooks, Mark Ingram. I've said it before in the last video. Understand how the Texans are working here with Mark Ingram, guys. They're shifting 3 different backs in there. I wouldn't be surprised to see this week to see David Johnson get the 25 carries, or to see Philip Lindsay get 15 carries, whatever it is. So if you picked him up off your waiver, great. Turn around and sell him is what I would do, because we just don't know. And plus, they were playing the Jaguars, guys. Jaguars, we know what their defense does. They just give up a lot of points. That's why they're drafting first overall, right? Very simple. And number 6, guys, Tyler Lockett. We kind of know the story on Tyler Lockett. I don't think it's going to change this year. He has really huge weeks, and then he has weeks where he absolutely does nothing, okay? So that's the story on Tyler Lockett. You might be able to fool some people with that big week. And that's all I have for you guys in this video. I hope you dig it, and all the best.